Welcome to Branching Out, a new podcast from Bonsai. I am the co-founder of Bonsai and your host, Matt Butler. Bonsai's platform delivers powerful marketing measurement and custom buying algorithms using first-party data. I aim to deliver interesting, informative insights for the modern marketer and get wisdom from the thought leaders you should know. I hope this podcast is entertaining. I hope it simplifies what's complicated. And I hope it arms you to succeed and makes you laugh along the way. Enjoy. A long time coming. Michael.
Hello.
Co-founder. How you doing?
Well,
I would definitely love to start with, quickly, who are you?
sure. I'm Mike. I like math, I like building things, and I think our story, for the people that don't know, is my background's in aerospace engineering and passionate about removing waste out of different processes. And your background at Google and marketing expertise, put those two things together, and you told me how much waste there is in the ecosystem, people spending millions of dollars per quarter and not knowing exactly where it goes, which is absolutely horrifying to me. So we needed to tackle that, and that's, I think, what we've been chipping away at for 4 years. So
We know that 2024 is the latest year of the death of the third-party cookie, and the new age of measurement and AI is upon us, and all the things that we've heard even before we started Bonsai. So what is your point of view? What is your reaction to where everything is today?
I am very excited for where we have positioned ourselves, because where we started was a huge assortment of technologies available for marketers to put into their stack. Most recently, Scott Rickler came out with the chart, of technologies. We're up to 14,000 options, right? So, which is just insane. When you actually look at the chart of all the logos, that's pretty wild. But I think there's really no stopping the amount of choices that people have. And there's really no perfect stack, but the thing that I think we fit in really well and will continue to fit in even with this explosion of technology is, no matter what you have, there is a way to put it all together and drive business results. Regardless if you have a really old stack, you inherited something from someone, if you're starting from scratch, there's a way to do it and a way to do it right and take control of the data, as opposed to just logging into your 6 different systems every day or week and trying to make sense of it. There's a much better way. So I think I don't see the industry stopping, with all the AI, especially for on the creative side. That stuff is not going to stop. I think over time it'll end up consolidating into less tools. Right now it's just Wild West, so there's hundreds and thousands of things that are showing up. But in the end, still need to put all of that together, regardless of what tools people land on, and that's where I think we fit in uniquely. So excited about that.
You talked about your love of Kaizen and reducing waste and addressing the complexity of technical infrastructure. Is that the main thing that you think is the biggest issue in our industry today, now that you've had a little bit of time, coming from that world of manufacturing to helping our clients design and think about how to measure and deploy successful strategies with data technology? Do you have the same opinion you did when you started this? What do you think? Do you think anything differently now compared to say a few years ago when we got this going?
Yeah, after seeing all the clients we've been fortunate enough to work with so far, the stacks vary wildly, with the number of tools and how the data is managed and how many people are on the team and stuff. So the thing that probably surprises me the most is that the data's been there the whole time. And people are doing the best they can oftentimes to put certain things together, but it does seem like a part of it is a communication problem between some people own this platform and I'm in charge of this silo and I'm in charge of this silo, and if people just got together and talked about what's working and what's not, you could have a lot more success, as opposed to I'm just the Facebook person and I'm going to do everything I can to move the needle here. But if you just got everybody together, the person in front of you and behind you in your sort of process, whatever that is, and got together and talked about it, there's a lot of improvement that could happen, And I think part of it is just addressing that, via like a map or just like getting everybody in a room and talking is like the first step. And that is surprising to me that isn't more commonplace of everyone just like working together.
You might not know this, but Mike was pretty accomplished manufacturing and aerospace engineer. So when you were building things with data, when you were in that world, how were you using data to like keep the plane in the air versus what you see companies using data to build a business? What's different? Could you share a little bit of that world and what you maybe don't see in our world?
Yeah, I think it's partly related to what I was just explaining, because I think from like a manufacturing process, if you have 10 stations, assembly, you're not getting anything at the end unless all 10 work together and they know, what their role is, what you're installing, what you're not installing, what you're checking, all those kind of rules, right? And all of that together is one process. And I don't think data, in general is treated kind of the same way. It's okay and very normal to just have like 6 silos, and it's just like, yeah, as long as the stuff's here, I just go, I log into this thing and I see what they say, and I log over here and see what this says. And it just doesn't make a lot of sense when you back up and realize all of that data is supporting one business. It's like, why don't you get all 6 things to talk to one another? It seems very apparent when you back way up, but when you're in it, and you're logging into your, whatever, your CRM or whatever, like that's your world and you're very used to that. And it's can be hard, I think, to back up and say, well, how could I, combine this and get more insight and, be able to make better decisions if I connect all the dots instead of just the one that I know really well, or the one that I'm assigned to.
Yeah. You also might not know this. Mike's a pretty optimistic guy. I'm the worrier. I think Mike's our steady hand. Is there anything about our clients or the industry in general that you actually feel good about or encouraged about, right? As you think about like how much work there still is to do and like the challenge ahead, and knowing kind of, this isn't, gosh, we're a long way from like systems in manufacturing in terms of helping a business leverage data to grow. What, if anything, gets you actually excited as opposed to like, that oh God feeling?
Yeah. So it is daunting. I think the amount of like options there are out there, right, for people. You sort of like an infinite possibility of like where any particular client is starting with. But the thing I feel always sort of positive about with every client is just starting. I love the business conversations, like right at the beginning, getting to know the client, like understanding how everything works. We want to talk to every single person. What's good for you? What sucks? What tool do you love? How do you use them? And then taking all that and then building something that both Bonsai and the client could just look at together and just like, take stock, right? And this is before we even put together all the data and analysis and stuff. It's just more of like, here's what you have in front of you. Do you agree? Is this valuable? And I think that's always such a, seems like a really simple thing. I don't think enough companies do that kind of work, but it always ends up setting, ourselves up in a conversation with the client in a really positive light. Because oftentimes you don't do that. We're like, oh yeah, I think we had a tech map like 9 years ago, and you look at it and it's not the stuff they have today, right? But I always encouraged by like that starting point for us, and then sort of getting everybody rallied around like, yeah, we can do this. Like, yeah, we have this system from 12 years ago, and that's in the server and under Ted's desk or whatever, like where all this data is. But in the end, if you know that you're going to be able to start with a good foundation and then build from there. And based on the tools and stuff that we've put together so far, I always feel really good about that, regardless of what's out in the industry or what's in the news and all that. There's a way.
Bonsai, it was 2019 when we decided to take a stab at, hey, I think we could help solve some problems here. This seems like a fun opportunity.
Yeah.
There seems to be nothing but greenfield ahead. At that time, if you can remember right before the pandemic, pretty much everything was still all systems go in almost every industry. You know, the economy was strong.
Mhm.
The consumer didn't seem to be slowing down. I think there was a growing fervor over privacy and like hey, you know, are we doing this the right way? And is this like this digital thing actually working?
Yeah.
Which I think there's a lot more to say about that now.
Yeah.
But I think those were definitely the days when that stuff seemed more important.
Mm-hmm.
You were in a period of abundance there, though, right? When people could care about things like
Right.
user privacy and
Sure.
compliance and, well, really, you know, and so I think the original thesis was, gosh, technologically, there's so much not right about how things work.
Mm-hmm.
And then we, you know, no sooner did we decide to go on that journey than, honestly, the world shuts down.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we had a little like map of all the places we were going to go visit and talk to people, and like every one of those conferences was canceled. And
Yeah.
I remember thinking to myself, people aren't even going to work, right? Much less talking to
Chatting
folks like
about
us.
it,
And so like we had some fun days in 2020. But you know, obviously we're lucky enough to, you know, see our way through that, and then the world changed a lot. I guess all of that is to say, do you feel like the reasons that excited us to do this in 2020, do you feel like it's the same stuff that's exciting? Do you feel like it's changed in any sort of way?
I think a lot of it is because even though it's been, you know, 4 years, a couple of things haven't changed, like the privacy thing. Like you said, even though it was sort of top of mind for everyone, then it kind of gets overshadowed with other things. Like it's still a thread, and even though it's not, you know, the most popular or sexy topic right now in the States, like I think the GDPR, the whole like push from the EU earlier on, that was getting a lot of press, and we were assuming like, oh, something like that's coming here really soon. Other states have sort of jumped on that, so like at least on a privacy front, I still think that's a really important thread for people to take seriously, because, you know, no matter how long, you know, we want to kick the can down the road, or like, you know, however long legislation takes, like it's, you know, in everyone's best interest to just get in front of that, right? And set yourself up so that you're ready for whatever legislation shows up. So that, like, that particular topic, I think, is still very top of mind, I think, for us, and important for businesses to address. But then I think on like the waste, you know, in good times, some of the things that we built, you know, they help the top line, right? And at the same time, a lot of things that we built can just control your costs. So if it's, you know, good times, you know, we can help set sail, and if we need to tighten it up, that's also one of the things that we can, you know, provide a service for the client. So like on those being the two, you know, good times, here's what we do, and, you know, down times, here's how we can help you sort of, you know, maintain and control, you know, market share. So excited about both, because it's really important for businesses. You know that those things are coming, you know, you need to be able to get ahead of them, and if we have like a way to help serve that I like that a lot. I like that we're not a one-trick pony at all, and, you know, we can help in lots of different concepts.
I agree with that, and I would say I feel like the one thing that hasn't changed a lot is things that we thought about and excited us to get started on doing this back then are like even bigger now. Funniest or scariest moment in starting Bonsai so far?
So this
It doesn't have to be a terrible story.
Sure,
It could be though.
Particular thing, I guess this happened a few times, where we're giving a readout, and, you know, readouts generally have, you know, leadership, the whole, you know, staff, everything, and no cameras and no audio from the client the entire time. Is it's a scary thing. You're sort of just talking out, you know, into the ether and not really sure what, you know, it just crickets back, and that is was not used to that, especially, you know, pre-COVID, you know, even having like video calls was rarely a thing, right? Conference calls super common, but even having the video option, so but definitely was not used to that. And then giving a readout was something that, you know, supposed to be really interactive. That was a few of those times where, you know, in the end, glowing reviews and everything was great, but like at the time, you know, not having the ability to have any interaction with the client and sort of like read how they're feeling, or is there any questions, was something that was very shocking, kind of.
All right, so totally agree. Certainly builds like a whole layer of skin real quick in a way that like I did not know that would be a thing we'd be dealing with. But I remember distinctly, people will think this is insane, but like we had like physical maps when we were planning out like our initial ideas with Bonsai, from not just like we're going to use a map in our product. No, I mean, we were literally like, who, if we were to work for them, like what client should we target based on how far they are from Wheaton?
Yeah. Driving radius,
If you haven't heard, I used to work at Google. So, you know, got to be an analytical lead for a long time. I would say like the kind of ultimate, at least there was a period where it was sort of the ultimate consultant role to some degree, where you know you had a lot of freedom. I was lucky and privileged enough to be in a space where I got to be like really deeply embedded.
Mm-hmm.
I had to live that life for a long time, and I know. So like, listen, I understood organizationally how a lot of this stuff worked, just from time, many years doing this and understanding that like, yes, this was a lot of money that was at stake. Yes, this was a lot of business that was at stake. Of course, you didn't make fundamental changes in your strategy and how you're measuring it over like a phone call or Zoom. It genuinely never occurred to me in a million years that anyone would ever listen to us over like a video conference. We would be like excited to be able to do some video conferences. But I mean, the whole idea of if we're going to take on this kind of thing and this kind of work, well, obviously, part of that's going to involve our travel expenses, how we like physically orchestrate building that business, and that would be like a known constraint from like day one. The blessing that is literally never for a single day of Bonsai's existence been a constraint. We've worked with folks all across the U.S. from the beginning. Is wild to me, and it's also wild how fast that's become like wild that it wouldn't be like that.
Just immediately accepted that you only travel out for, you know, really big events or things like that, right? You're not making weekly stops at every single client. It's I mean, from like a, you know, efficiency standpoint, it's great. You know, we have more time, you know, to prepare for the client and deliver and things. The camera off, no audio thing was a very, you know,
I'm probably most proud of like that we've started what we started from a platform and expertise perspective in this environment, because like everything about the way things work now is conducive to a very transactional relationship. It's kind of the only thing that exists on some respects. So the idea that we've had any success doing things beyond that I would consider like, you know, not just great case studies, but great strategic partners, and you know, I'm like that. Honestly, I think I'm probably mostly proud of like that, because like that does still to this day, even as we're doing it, feels a little impossible to me. Like I don't know how we're doing that. So I think it's a credit to folks that like they've adapted. People on the team who are better at the digital only world than even I was, coming from where I came from, right? But
definitely. And the clients, you know, open to receiving that too. Like, just as much on their part as ours to deliver it, then to, you know, receive it the same way and take action.
So we complain a lot about the opposite, but there's some merit to the fact that they actually do take a lot of risk, considering that there's people who've never talked to us in person, who do, you know, kind of what we recommend. So can we think of any good examples? Like we both love the idea of target ROAS. As like, what an amazing thing that exists, right?
It is, I mean, find me another thing on earth where I just tell a little box on the computer how much money I want to make. I just type in the number, boom, that's how much money.
And it made it for you.
That's it.
It's never.
If I want to do 10x, it's 10x.
It's never not done that. Isn't that right?
That's true. That's absolutely.
It's actually
true.
Like I think that's verifiable by digital science.
It's facts. I don't know why more people aren't taking advantage of it.
How are we all still living in like Wheaton? There was a button We just have to put the number in it.
That's right.
It never doesn't work.
That's absolutely right.
And you get the money back, and you can put whatever number you want in it.
That's right. It's a generational wealth train.
Yeah.
It's coming to the station. That's all you do.
Yeah.
That's it.
I don't know what's better, TROAS or ham trading.
Futures market. Everyone, do yourself a favor and just next time you're in your system, just type in a TROAS, at least 3 digits, and just see what happens next month and see how the meeting goes with your boss, your checking.
Yeah. See how your business results go.
Should be fine.
Yeah.
Should be good.
I mean, just give them a new target.
Yeah.
Boom. Problem solved.
That's it.
I'm a big fan of the perfect ad at the perfect time. It turned out, who knew there were so many tools that could do that?
That's right. Yeah.
Can you imagine getting an ad at the wrong time for the wrong thing? Because how could that be possible? We are in every company has at least 10 things that ensure that you always do that.
That's right. Yeah. The second after I purchase something, I'll never see an ad for that again.
Yeah.
Efficiency is incredible.
I always get a good idea for the next thing I need.
Mm-hmm.
I never get the exact thing that I was shopping for 3 months ago. Ever.
Yeah.
Never happened.
Perfect recommendation. They don't even know that it's my Nana's birthday's coming up. That's the ad I get.
Yeah, they've thought about, they've understood my eating habits, my shopping habits. They they know what my kids like. I'm always getting like a nice curated result for my lifestyle.
That's right.
I'm not
Really
getting. I never ever get a vague reference to a landing page I accidentally clicked on.
No, that's like
on the way to
stuff.
watching like a golf tip video. No, that's never happened to me.
Yeah, it's like Angel Fire days.
Yeah, exactly. No,
not a thing.
Definitely not a thing. When I read the newspaper, one of my favorite parts about reading the newspaper on my phone is how, there's just such high quality content brought to me that I can digest and I'm not interrupted. Never.
Yeah, and at the bottom, I always love all the fact-based articles that you can click on right at the bottom there and just jump to another world of knowledge.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I didn't know there were so many ways that I could get rid of that belly fat.
That's right. With the image of the belly fat, it's
yeah.
That's exactly right.
Doctors do hate this.
They do. Yeah. 9 out of 10 doctors hate that ad. Yeah,
they hate that ad. Business. I was talking to my doctor. He just wouldn't shut up about it.
Yeah. Yeah, they know that's the way.
It's funny though that like I know why he didn't like that ad because like I had clearly I had been laid out like right here in front of me as I was reading about the latest blown saves from Albert Odzolai.
Yeah.
As the Cubs try to like build to pennant hopes this spring, I was learning about the team. I was thinking about tomorrow's game. I was identifying the needs to get rid of my belly fat, and my doctor didn't bring that article up at all.
No.
So I get it. Yeah, exactly. Uninformed. There's a lot of FOMO.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
It solves so many problems.
There's a lot of haters.
Belly fat's a thing of the past.
Yeah.
Just look in America.
Exactly. Yeah, we've solved it, right? It's on every internet page. How could we have so TROAS will make you rich. Belly fat should be gone. This would amount to like a brief chat for us on compared to some of our nights. Trying to figure out how we get to the next day and the next week. But it's a pleasure. I'm excited to see what's next. The mic, the floor is yours for any closing thoughts or questions or anything you have on your mind.
Thank you. Too kind with that. I appreciate it. And I guess to reflect some of that back, us being coming from very different worlds, I cannot picture Bonsai being in the same spot without the expertise that you brought, with the industry. Like whether everybody at home or listening knows or not, there is not a topic related to, ad or MarTech or anything that you do not, are not an expert in and can just talk about at length and have, very sophisticated opinions on, both sides of, the story for almost everything. So even just as a resource, it's incredible. And I think you've been an incredible leader to a lot of people that we brought in. Another thing is team dynamic wise that I think has been awesome. We don't have all marketing people at
Mhm.
Bonsai.
Mhm.
Not a lot of them. We bring in a lot of different expertise and points of view, and you have taught the marketing side to pretty much everybody on our team, which is incredible. And I think we're a really strong dynamic team because of that.
Yeah.
So it's,
Well, I think the team is great, and I think and I don't know if it was even a strategy or if we were just like attracting this sort of like, broad palette of like,
Mhm.
Potentially from the outside looking like arbitrary, interest or talents. Like, so I don't know, like I can't really, I feel like to call it a real strategy would be a little bit of like, us just Monday morning quarterbacking our own
Sure.
like process. I think in reality it's a lot more happenstance and stumbling on
Mhm.
opportunities
The
and
best people,
ideas
yeah.
than it has anything to do with like we had some grand plan. But
Mhm.
I would say like, yeah, being on this team, what I love about them is they don't look at things through the lens of like a particular thing is great or
Mhm.
this is how we do things
Right.
or if we don't do it this way, I don't know why,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a first principles type of vibe with us that I think is very helpful, that makes us make great progress quickly, because we tend to look at things for what they are, kind of around all of the perspectives very, very quickly. It, of course, they smart people, and you gotta be able to like turn around stuff, and so like engineering chops and like
Mhm.
all that stuff matters a ton. It doesn't matter if you've got great perspective if you can't freaking
Yeah. Act on
do
it.
or act or think or build anything. So you need the talent, but I wouldn't go. Now that we're in it, I'd be like, I would advocate that to like any company, whether or not you were wanting to work on the business analytics, cloud analytics, marketing analytics. It wouldn't matter if you're on our industry or not. I think it's an approach that I would say scales for sure.
Definitely. Yeah, this has been good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cheers, Michael.
Cheers.
Send your questions, comments, or derision to Bonsai's LinkedIn page, or connect with me directly. LinkedIn.com/in/Butler